guys, you've submitted your CV, you have done the online application, and now the agency is contacting you. They want to sit and talk to you through an interview and assess you if you are really the person that applied for that chance of being with that agency. So now they are telling you, they are scheduling you for an interview, an initial interview with them. What do you do? That's what we are going to talk about today. Hello guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Faith. I'm a registered nurse. On this channel we talk about general leveling up, and especially if you are a nurse who want to relocate from their country to the US as a registered nurse, this is the channel for you. So let's get into the video of the day. So before we start guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And also like this video if you find it useful. This will help YouTube to share it to other people who might also be interested in the same information, and it will also help this channel grow. So let's get into the video of the day. So guys, today we are going to talk about how to prepare for an initial interview with your agency. This is very important because this is when you're going to sell yourself to the agency as that real person, as the person they want to consider as part of their team. So I'm going to talk about some 4 categories on how to prepare yourself for this initial interview. And the first category will be your unit where you work. The second one will be your CV, your curriculum vitae, and then the third one will be your environment during that interview, and also the fourth one will be yourself. We are going to start with the unit, how to prepare about the unit that you are in so that you can be able to be taken by this agency, how to prepare for that interview. So the first thing is your unit. You should know your unit. Know your unit like the back of your hands. This is simple because your unit is a place where you work every day. It's a place where you go to work every day. So you should know your unit like the back of your hand. And the first thing you should know about your unit is know the conditions that you manage in your unit. These ones, the agency that is looking to recruit you will ask you, what are some of the conditions, especially the most seen condition in your unit. And this is very important because they will now compare if you manage the same kinds of conditions in wherever you are and where they are. So it is important for you to look at the conditions that you manage in your unit. This will help you when you sit for that interview, because definitely they will ask you some of the conditions that you manage in your unit. You should know them. The second thing is know the equipments that you use in your unit. Very important. You see, most of the time these countries that we are relocating from to the US, the equipments there are not that advanced like the US. But your agency needs to know at least that you know at least some of the basic equipments that are used in a health facility and also in that unit. So you should be able to know some of the equipments, most of the equipments that you use in your unit and how to operate them. And also know that the ones that you have and you don't know how to operate them because you can't know everything. And sometimes in our countries we are limited. There are equipments that nurses are not allowed to handle, or maybe there's just one specific person who is trained to handle them because of the limited resources that we have. So know the equipments that you use in your unit. You'll be asked about that. The third one is the procedures on your unit and what you can do. Know the procedures that you do in your unit. If it is taking vital signs, if it is taking care of patients with tracheostomy, patients on monitors, you should know all those procedures that you do. If it's catheterization, know them and also know how to do them, because they might ask you to at least tell them how you catheterize a female patient. So if you don't have them here, you'll fumble and they will look at you like maybe you're not a good candidate for them. So know the procedures that you work on in your unit. That will really help you. Also, the fourth is know the hours that you work in your unit. You see, when you are going there and where you are, they need to know if the hours that you work in a week, the hours that you can handle in a week, it is the same thing that you are going to deal with up there. So know the hours that you work in a week. If it is night shifts, if it's day shifts, you should be able to calculate all the hours that you work in a week, excluding your off days, and know them, because you'll be asked about the hours that you work in a week. It's very important. Another thing is know your nurse and patient ratio. Very important. They need to know how many patients you can handle in a shift. So you should know the nurse to patient ratio in your unit. It's very important. They will ask you about that. Another thing that you should know about your unit is your schedule. Know your schedule. Know if you work night shift, what time do you get in and what time do you clock out? What time do you clock in during day shift and what time do you clock out? You should know that. And these are very common things, but if they find you off guard, you might be confused. So know that about your unit when you are preparing for the initial interview with your respective agency. Now let's talk about the CV. And what I mean about the CV is you should know what you wrote in your CV when you applied to this agency. If you go to an interview and you don't know what the CV is, or if you gave someone the work of writing your CV and then you go for the interview and you don't know what the CV contains, it will mess you up. So before you do that initial interview, the agency will have gone through your CV and they have seen what you are all about. So if they contact you for an interview and you have no idea what you wrote in your CV, that will be detrimental to you. It will be like you are lying. So before you go sit for that interview with the agency, go through your CV and make sure you know what you wrote in that CV. It will be very important. You have to stick to what you wrote in your CV, because if you sway out of your CV, it will show that maybe you are lying or maybe you are not the one who wrote that CV. So it will also be unprofessional to you. So before you sit for that interview with the agency and maximize the chances of them taking you, please go through your CV and make sure you know everything that you wrote. Even those little details. Someone might pick just a little detail to ask you about it and it will mess you up if you don't know. The third aspect that you have to prepare when you are preparing for that initial interview is your environment. And now this will depend on what the kind of interview you'll have, whether it will be on camera or whether it will be a phone call. So make sure you prepare your environment, and by the environment I mean where you are. Make sure you are in a quiet place. Set that time. That most of these agencies, before they call you for an interview, they've already told you that we are calling you such and such a day for the interview. So are you ready for that? If you will be busy that day and you can't be able to commit, you can reschedule the interview to the day that is convenient to you. And so you should be prepared for that. Prepare for your environment. Make sure that wherever you are, it's very quiet and you can be able to communicate with the person who is calling you very effectively. Because if you are in a noisy place and there's a lot of distraction, it will be a distraction to you and also to the person who is interviewing you. So make sure your environment is quiet, whether it is a phone call or a video call. Make sure you are in a quiet environment. Another thing about the environment is your internet. Make sure you have a good, not really the internet, it will depend. If it is a video call, you have to have a very strong internet so that the interview doesn't cut short or you don't have mechanical issues when you are doing the interview. So make sure you are in an area with a strong connectivity. Even if your house does not have a strong internet connection, you can opt to go somewhere else just do that interview, because why not? You need this thing and you have to do what you have to do to get that chance. So make sure your connectivity is okay as you are doing the interview, as you are preparing for the interview. Another thing about the environment is prepare your family members. Prepare them. If you know that someone calls you at that particular time, call them in advance. Make them know that you will be having an interview. If you have little children in the house, or just make sure you tell them that mommy is having a call from for an important thing, so they understand that they will not be calling you or distracting you when you are doing the interview. So prepare everyone around you and people who might want to call you at that time, that you will be having a very important call and you don't need to be distracted at least for an hour, so that you don't get distracted when you are sitting for that interview. Also, another thing about your environment is, if it's a video call, make sure you have a very good lighting when you're doing it. What I'll advise you is you can schedule that interview during the day. During the day wherever you are, because sunlight is very okay. It's very nice when you are dealing with cameras. So whether it will be on phone or on a laptop, you have to make sure that the other person can see you. So prepare your lighting. If it's at night, make sure you are in an area that has good lighting so that you are not in the darkness or the other person cannot see you. So that just make sure your lighting is okay. So that is it for the environment. Make sure you are in a good environment when you are preparing for this interview. Prepare that in advance so that when they call you, you are not frustrated about. And also, guys, on the point of the environment, prepare also the gadget that you are using, because sometimes you may think your computer will take that software that they will be using to call you. Prepare that in advance. If they told you it's a Zoom call, make sure you have this Zoom installed on whatever device that you are going to use, because they can't call you on Zoom and you don't have Zoom installed. So If they'll call you via WhatsApp, which they rarely do that, make sure that whatever you are using can do that. You can practice it with someone else. They call you through that and see if it works. So just make sure that you are ready for that call, especially a video call. Make sure that you've already prepared your gadgets for that video call. Now, the last category of how you should prepare yourself is yours. You should prepare for this interview is yourself. And as much as you've prepared all these other things, if you haven't prepared yourself, you know you are the one who's going to talk, you are the one who is going to produce the information, you'll mess yourself up. So prepare yourself very well. Make sure you are well rested, because most of these interviews, the initial interviews, take at least 1 hour. So if you're not well rested, if you have a lot of things in your mind, they might deter you from thinking fast. So it is good to prepare yourself also physically and mentally and emotionally for that interview. So take a good rest. I'll recommend that you take this interview on your off day, because by then you'll have all this time to prepare for it, even rest. Just don't rush from work and sit down for this interview. Just prepare for it as any other interview that you want to partake. So it's good for you to prepare yourself. And during the interview, be confident. Be confident and relax, because you're not talking to an animal. You're talking to a person who understands that wherever they are is different from wherever you are. So just be confident and tell the truth. Tell the truth about whatever your equipments you are using, because after all, some of the equipment that we are using, they are not high-tech like the US. So tell the truth. These people understand, they know. Don't lie that you have all these fancy equipments in your facility when you don't have, because these people know. Most of these facilities, especially in third world countries, are not that high tech, so they know. So just relax, just tell what like it is, okay? Tell what you know, and also how you prepared yourself. Just be ready to talk fluently and confidently. And that takes me to speaking. When you prepare for this interview, speak fluently. Don't mumble. Don't like swallow words when you're talking. Just talk fluently when you're talking to this person, because that person is supposed to be able to hear you fluently and correctly, so that they enter the right information about you in their data system, and then later they will review and see if you are a viable person to be joining their agency. So speak fluently, that's another thing. And also, if it's a video call, dress well. Don't dress in pajamas for a video. At least on the top part of you should dress officially. Just dress the same way you'll go for a job interview wherever you are. Dress officially for that interview. It's very, very important. So your dress code is very important. And also, if it's a video call, smile. Don't be that serious. There are things that you can talk when you're serious, but also make the mood a little bit light when you are talking to these people. They are not animals, they are people. So smile when they talk to you. Nod. Yeah, just listen. Be attentive, that is it. Don't get distracted looking at the walls or something else when you're doing that interview. So yeah, be prepared yourself, so that, and also prepare yourself. Go empty your bladder physically. Yeah, don't be in the middle of your interview and your bladder is full and you're thinking about how full your bladder is and how uncomfortable you are, take those necessary measures just to be able to be comfortable when you are doing that interview. And also breathe in and out and just release that anxiety that you have before the interview starts. And trust me, when you start the interview, you'll notice these people are so friendly and it will be okay. You'll just feel like you're talking to your colleague about things at work. So just have this in mind as you are preparing for those interviews. And just remember that when you don't prepare, you prepare to fail. So as much as you know you are a nurse and these things you might go to that interview and they throw a scenario to you, like maybe a medical scenario that you're supposed to handle, and if you didn't go through your whatever conditions that you handle and you don't have updates about it, you will fail. And also these procedures, like maybe doing an IV, maybe you used to shortcuts at your facility because there are not enough things. Just go read about inserting the IV the right way, so that when they ask you about that and you don't say your shortcut, because that will make you a quack nurse, not a real nurse. So it's good to prepare. Just prepare in advance so that you maximize the chances of these people looking at you as a nurse.